Talk on Ved, Pradhan Mantra. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Today we will be seeing some more aspects of God, how sages looked at God. But before that, just to kind of remind you that there might have been times, particularly when you were young, you might have wondered, what is God? Where does he live? How to know him? How to reach him? Questions like that. And you very well know how different religions and how the scriptures of different religions elaborate these things. They explain and they elaborate. According to Hindu traditions, if you go by the Vedas and the Upanishads, they will say God is pure existence. God is existence. God alone exists. These expressions comes in different forms. You might have come across some of those famous Upanishadic statements like Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. Whatever is Brahman. Brahman alone has become all this. In our simple day-to-day language, it simply means that God is existence. And one can know only what exists, even if that be imaginary. Meaning that whatever you know has to have existence as its basis. If existence is not at the basis, you cannot know anything. So whether it be your dream, whether that be your imagination or whatever, it has to exist. And God being the only existence, whatever you know is actually God. We will elaborate this. And you love what you know. You cannot love something which you don't know. The idea is, whether it be love or hatred, whatever it is, first you have to know it. So love is what you know. So according to Acharya Shankar, according to Vedanta, these three, existence, knowledge and bliss, that is joy, they are one and the same thing. So what is God? You can say God is pure existence, or God is pure knowledge, prajnanam brahma, as they say. And God is love, anandam, pure joy. And so where does he live? Where does God live? Wherever you find manifestation of these three. When you see that something exists, for example, here is this pain. This pain exists. And we have this knowledge that this pain exists. It simply means that if you remove the trappings, that means if you remove the pen from penness, and then from there you go further down, you'll see that there is pure existence. And that pure existence is God. So what we are experiencing as pain, what we are seeing as pain, is actually God only. And because of this, many people confuse, particularly those who are attacking Hindu religion. They think that, they say that, oh, your pain is God. No, pain is not God. The substratum of this pain is God. So if you go into deep meditation, if you focus on the existence of this pain, and as you go deeper, you get rid of this pain, what remains is painness. And then painness too goes away. What remains is pure existence. That's God. Whatever you experience, whatever knowledge you get, when you're seeing something, when you're hearing something, we normally think because of science that These are all the sensations coming from the external world through our different senses to our mind. And it's these sensations that we experience which combine together to form the sense of knowledge that we say it's knowledge. But actually, according to Hindu traditions, every knowledge, consequently, every sensation that we experience has God, that is pure knowledge as its substratum. There is pure knowledge and there are waves on it. What we experience are the waves. What we fail to experience but continues to exist is the ocean. So, in case of existence, as also in case of knowledge, the ocean remains. The ocean remains unchanged. We experience the waves. We get hypnotized by the waves, and we think that waves are everything, but the waves are not. Same with love. So wherever you find love, that means wherever, whatever kind of love, like in the seventh chapter of Gita, God says, "Dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bhartarsava." I am calm. I am the desire. Loosely translate can be lust. Let me tell you one personal experience, which I'm not sure as a monk whether or not I should even utter. But it's a very interesting thing. Long ago, many years ago, I was a young monk. I was in white dress in those days. In the Ramakrishna Mission, you have to stay in white dress for 9 years, 9 long years. It so happened that I had to go with one of our volunteers. Volunteers in the sense he was studying in college, a very intelligent person, very learned person. And we had to go to Sialda station. Sialda station is in Kolkata. And we were crossing some under bridge or something. I don't remember exactly. But there was kind of darkness and not many people were looking. And there was a youngish couple. They must be students, boy and girl. And they had extended their fingers, hands, and they were trying to touch each other while walking all the way. And I was a few steps behind them with that volunteer. And somehow I felt a tremendous sense of joy. Tremendous sense of joy. I don't know. I mean, I'm not very sure if I was wrong. I was really full of joy, and I told that boy, that volunteer, see how wonderful it looks that both of them, they're trying to hide away from their parents. They don't want the society to know, and yet trying to express their love. And that young man, he became furious at me. He said, "What love you are saying? It's shamelessness." So his words kind of shook me up badly. But somehow I never forgot that. Maybe he was correct. Expressing one's emotions in public is not a good idea. Indian culture doesn't permit that. True. At the same time, it was not really display of emotions in public, display of love. They were trying to hide it. And there was that extreme love. Now, naturally, I didn't know them. I don't know what happened after that, etc., etc. However, for me, the idea remains when a mom loves her baby, that love is God. When you love something, is God getting expressed through that love. Even in case of illicit relationships, like for example, we have famous Krishna and Gopi. Of course, we shouldn't be telling it illicit. Thing is, it was outside their marriage. And that's also love. And we worship that. However, when you have these kind of ideas coming to you, certain occasions which are not really permitted by the norms of the society, You may not appreciate that, because to appreciate that, you need to have purity. Like in Ramakrishna Mission traditions, we say that to study Ras Leela, you must have a level of purity. Unless you have a level of purity, you shouldn't be discussing this. But the bottom line that wherever there is existence, there is God. Wherever there is knowledge, there is God. And wherever there is love, there is God. Now, if God is like that ocean on which you have these waves of existence, waves of knowledge, and waves of love, now it is natural for a spiritually elevated person. And spiritually elevated person means spiritually elevated persons. We are not talking about ordinary saints, we are talking about the great sages, the great spiritual beings. It's natural for them to see God in any natural phenomena or anything that meets their eyes, and they kind of apply their spiritual heart to it. I'm using the expression spiritual heart. Ultimately, it's all mind only. What will they see? Naturally, they will see play of God. Every activity will appear as act of God. Because without God, there cannot be any activity. Whether that be of love, be that of knowledge, or whatever it be. In Bhakti literature, later on, they said that even emotions like hatred and enmity, it's all about presence of God. Because without the presence of God, you cannot have those things. So, whenever whenever you are looking at the ocean and not at the waves, essentially you are looking at God. That means when you are looking at any event, any activity, any phenomena, minus that, then you experience God, and then you experience those things also as expression of God. This is what the Vedas have to offer to us. The Vedas are extremely difficult to study, extremely difficult to understand, and that's why I wrote this book, Veda Vihangam, just to give an idea. And there we have made selections of many of those phenomena, many of those relations where sages saw the presence of God in different activities or in different kinds of expressions. Now, this applies to different forms too. When you have different forms of God, as we will see, as the title itself suggests, God, sages call it variously. Ekam sadvipara bodha vadanti. So first we begin with as an infant being kissed by mom. This is about Veda. Veda, this name has nearly faded from our spiritual memory. But in the Vedas we come across Veda. He was, says that he was kind of divine light. Veda was divine light. And it says that wherever you find light, for example, lightning amidst clouds or the light of moon, etc., is because of Veda. Now, this mantra from Rig Veda, 10, 123, 1, that means 10th book, hymn number 123, and verse number 1. This is a highly mystic mantra, and a bit difficult to understand what was there in the mind of the sage when he expressed this. So whatever I'm speaking is based on Sayanacharya's commentary. Says, Ayam Avenas Chodayat Prishni Garbha Jyotir Jarayu Rajaso Vimane Imam Apam Sangame Suryasya Shishum Na Vipra Matibhi Rihanti. If you imagine yourself in this some early morning, not at the time of dawn, a bit after dawn. That means sun has risen and there might be some kind of cloud. There might be some kind of lightning. And there is that light. And as you know that whenever there is cloud, there are water particles, and because of the friction, there is lightning, but within that lighting there is light. So you have a light and you have water, and it appears as the clouds are afire, or the clouds are lit up. So it must have been that kind of phenomenon that some say saw, and instead of seeing it just as something natural, they saw it as presence of God, presence of Veda. Not only light, it was kind of a divine light, kind of a divine presence, and Veda. It says, see, Veda, born in light, because Veda is connected with light, urges on the waters of the space. Rajasa is says water, particles, etc. Born of the sun. Says with hymns, caress him as an infant there, where the waters and the sunlight mingle. So there is some kind of cloud, and there is light, and there are water particles. They mingle, and there's formation of that light. And these sages are offering their prayers. Those prayers are as if reaching that God and caressing. When you talk to some loved one, like someone whom you love, for example, there's a mom, she loves her baby, and she talks to her baby, sweet nothing. It's like caressing the baby with your words. Here he said, God is being caressed like an infant. By what? By the mantras. It's such a wonderful imagery, you see. This is one of the very fine mantras that we have. Jyotir Charayu, born of the womb of light, born of sun. So, so it's a very beautiful mantra where there's a scene, there is a sight in the particular sight in the morning, and in the morning sun, Veda is appearing as the light amidst clouds. And doing what? Goading on the clouds. Instead of seeing just a cloud or the movement of the cloud, the sages sing God. You might wonder if it's just poetry or if it's just too much of imagination. But we have it from Sri Ramakrishna that once he was standing in Dakshineshwar temple, and he was looking at the entire scene, and he felt as if there's this Virat, the cosmic form of God, where all these huge trees, now trees are used in front of him, not as far as cosmic form of God is concerned. So he said that it appeared as if these are the bouquets in front of Virat, God in its cosmic form. These ideas are so beautiful for meditation, because what Sri Ramakrishna said was, he was not just explaining something that he saw in beautiful words. No, it's a spiritual vision, and such spiritual visions can be replicated by us as a matter of sadhana. So whatever these great people saw, so whatever. So when you see clouds and you see light in the cloud, and if you know this mantra very well, it may suddenly remind you of Veda. Similarly, it says, God the baby. This prayer is to Vishwadeva. Here, You have Agni and Vayu, two gods. And this is also that same condition where there is kind of lightning and water and clouds. In this case, it says the baby is being kissed by her mom. Another interpretation is that every time we speak, Vishwadev is collection of all the gods, is this Agni and Vayu. Now, when we speak, speech is known as Agni, because the god for speech is Agni, the fire god, and it's carried by wind, that is Vayu. Now, whenever we speak, so for example, right now I'm speaking, there is there are two gods interplaying with each other, Agni and Vayu. Now, when a sage is chanting out the mantras in praise of whatever god, you can very clearly see as if two beings are intertwined. So there is there is Agni and Vayu. And it's like mom kissing the baby, in turn, baby kissing mom. Eka suparna sa samudrama vivesha sa idam vishwam bhuvanam vichaste. One beautiful wing. Suparna is very often used as epithet for God. Beautiful wing has passed into the ocean of air, from where he contemplates the whole world. Why God is being compared with a bird? Because when a bird passes, you don't feel it. It's all smooth, it's all silent. Just like that, presence of God is smooth, presence of God is silent. He says, Eka Suparna. And Samudra here is ocean of air. Air is being seen as an ocean. It also kind of represents the whole of creation. Vishwam Bhuvanam, whole world exists in this ocean of air. So God is looking at this universe the way a bird looks at whatever is below. And we have named this book Veda Vihangam from that. Vihangam. Vihangam means God. Vihangam also means God. Vihag also means God. And tam pakena manasa apashyam antitah tam mata reli saha reli mataram. Really, those of you who have this book, you see there is a special symbol. It's pronounced la ra combined. Really. Really means to kiss. So that God now appears as two, as Agni and as wind god Vayu. So in this creation you find Agni and Vayu. They are both together. Or it might just be speech, the mantras that are being chanted. So when the mantras are being chanted, you feel as if Agni and Vayu, they are kissing each other, just like a mom kisses her baby and the baby kisses her mom back. So this is outpouring of love. Unless you have that sense of love, unless you are full of love, it is difficult for you to appreciate these mantras. That's the specialty of the Vedas, in that the Vedas look at God variously. Wherever there is existence, wherever there is knowledge, and wherever there is love, sages are seeing God, seeing the presence of God there. Then we have one God as dancer. Now this mantra is dedicated to Indra. Later on, you might know that whenever we think of dancing, it is either attributed to Nataraj, Shiva, or to the dance of Lord Krishna when he danced with the gopis and danced on the head of Kaliya the snake. However, the actual idea is the whole universe is in motion, and this motion is compared to the dance of God. So he says, Shriye Tepada Duva A Mimikshu Drishnur Vajri Shavasa Dakshinavan Vasano Atkam Survim Drishekam Swarna Nrita Vi Shiro Babhuta. You'll find these words quite strange because these words are rarely used now. It says, for prosperity, your devotees embrace your feet, O Lord. Strong, thunder-armed, gracious in your gifts. These epithets are for Indra. Clad in vesture, which is very beautiful to look at, cloth, beautiful as heaven to look on. You have been like active dancer. Indra is being praised and Indra is being prayed to. Indra is being described here as the divine dancer who is always on the move, and that's why Indra is present everywhere. Those of you who have some idea about Indian spiritual traditions know that in later books, in later scriptures and sacred books, Indra is very often lampooned because Indra is here and there doing this mischief, indulging in that kind of mischief. But actually, the idea is that Indra is everywhere, and we will come across such mantras. So he's continuously on move. But it's not Indra, the person. God. God is infinite. God is everywhere. So you feel as if God is here and he has moved there and he is there like that. So God is everywhere. In Ishopanishad, we have that in the playlist you will find, in English playlist also. It says, Tad dhavato anyana tyeti, tishtat tasmin napo matrishwa dadati. Atman outruns all the other senses, including the mind. So you feel as if Atman is racing because whenever you think of something, you find that your eye consciousness has already reached there, which means Atman has already reached there. So whenever the senses run, Atman races ahead. Indra here is being seen as God, God who is infinite, God who is present everywhere. And because of that, you say, Indra is like a divine dancer. The entire universe, the whole universe is constantly on move. The particles are as if dancing. And out of that dance comes out creation. So creation is the positive outcome of the dance that's going on in this universe. So the sage here prays, O divine dancer, you who look so beautiful, like the heaven and sky are whose garments. We hold on to your feet so that we may have some prosperity. To think of, these sages must have been so poor, or maybe they wrote these prayers for ordinary folks, that they are giving us such wonderful mantras, so beautiful, such wonderful poetry, and yet they are asking for some gold coins, prosperity. God is also seen as lover, something that we find in Bhagavatam, where Sri Krishna is seen as the divine lover. Dohen gam upasiksha sakhayam prabodhaya jaritar jaramindram kosham napurnam vasuna niyaristama chavaya magdeyaya shuram. To remind, maximum number of prayers in Rig Veda are offered to Indra. So that's why you'll find that these mantras, mostly they are towards Indra's. It says, draw thy frame to you like a cow to milking. Those of you who have lived in villages might know that in earlier times, population was less and cows used to be let out, and these cows would go grazing whole day. Like Sri Krishna used to do that. He was a divine cow, and people tending these cows, they used to take them to grasslands where the cows would graze for the whole day, and in evening they would come back when those who that were milch cows, they would be milked. O singer, wake up, God the lover. O singer, singer here means the sages. Move the hero for the gift of bounty, like the vessel filled to brim with treasure. Here, the term used is jaram. Jaram is lover. Later on, jara was equated with illicit love. However, the sage poet is here. The jar in the Vedic times must have meant just love. Meant, it must have meant. So, Indra is being prayed to as the divine lover. Now, we have other verses where Indra is prayed to as a husband going close to the new wife. So, we have these sages have given us 100,000 different ways in which we can look at God. As we mentioned in the beginning, wherever you find any kind of existence, whether that be good, be that bad, wherever you find any kind of knowledge, any kind of sensation coming to you, or for example, you find somebody studying, young boy is studying. The very act of studying means that there is presence of God. And similarly, when it comes to love, wherever you find love of any kind, know that God is present there. So we gave you some idea about how the Vedas look at God in personal relation. Now we will have some ideas about God as impersonal. It's not that the Vedas saw God only as personal or in personal relation. The first mantra is dedicated to Vishwakarma. Vishwakarma literally means one who creates the universe. So, according to these scholars, Vishwakarma was an epithet, an adjective for God. But later on, in Indian tradition, it's very interesting that sometimes the adjectives are made a noun and nouns are made adjective. So, this is a typical Indian trait. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with that because personifying a quality is quite natural. Similarly, when you find that someone is very truly great at some quality, then that name itself becomes synonymous with that quality. For example, in India, whenever you say Gandhiji, immediately you think of ahimsa, non-violence, although he stood for many more things. Now, here, the prayer is to Vishwakarma and says, Yona Pita Janita Yo Vidhata Dhamani Veda Bhuvanani Vishwa Yo Devanam Namadha Eka Eva Tam Sang Prashnam Bhuvana Yanti Anya. He who is our creator, obviously God, our parent and Vidhata. Parent, because he provides for us. Vidhata literally means one who gives you what you deserve. That means whenever we make efforts, the consequence of those efforts, good or bad, do not go to others. They come to us. And from there, this idea of karma phala has come. So God is also seen as vidhata, one who gives you what you deserve and who knows the abodes of all beings. God is not limited. And God being knowledge itself, He knows all beings. He knows who stays in which sphere. He knows us personally. He also knows us collectively. In Gita, we have this beautiful slok, Vedaham Samti Tani. God says, I know all beings. I know the past beings, I know the future beings, but nobody knows me. Wherever there is mind, there is limitedness. And whenever there is limitedness, you cannot know the infinite, but the infinite knows. God is being described very beautifully here. Yona Pita Janita, Yo Vidhata Dhamani, Ved, Bhuvanani Vishwa. He who knows everyone, every being. He who created and he who is the provider. Yo Devanam Namadha, Ek Eva. This creation is like this creation is just like a wave. Ultimately, there is absolute existence, the pure existence, which is like the ocean. And on this ocean, you have different waves. And whenever you have different waves, you have different forms and you can attribute different names. Thus, we have three truths coming simultaneously. There is this idea, and then there is a name to it, and there is personification of it. These three are one and the same as far as our mind is concerned. When you consider your mind, you find that mind cannot distinguish between the three: the idea, the object, and the name, the word for it. And that's why in many of the philosophies you'll find the word or the name equated with object or with idea. So gods, they're just like waves in this ocean of existence. So naturally they will have some form and naturally they will have some name. Where from those names come? Those names come from God Himself. Whenever there is creation, God lets out the idea, and once the idea is let out, words and objects automatically get out. It's not that He goes on creating one by one. It's not that, for example, think of a cow, think of a horse. It's not that God modeled a cow and God modeled a horse. The very idea, let creation be. So, whatever had been earlier, those ideas get expressed, those names get expressed, and those objects get expressed. Namadha is in that sense. He gives names in the sense that a cow is a cow and a horse is a horse simply because God has let out the idea of cow and the idea of a horse. Who is the name giver of the gods? So, what the Vedas mean to say here is that the gods to whom we all worship, who appear to be so powerful, even they are just names and forms. That means they are inferior to God. This mantra comes in Rig Veda. Now, very often people say that Rig Veda is all about karma kanda, rituals. No, it's not. It's highly philosophical, great spiritual truths. And Eka Evatang, He is one. He's one. He's one. There are not two of it. Tam samprashnam bhuvna yanti anya. All come to inquire about Him. As we mentioned at the beginning, that there must have been occasions in your life, in everybody's life, when one wonders where from I came, who created me, who is God, what is God, where does He live? Even kids ask these questions. The answer is God is He who created this universe, who is our Father, who is our Mother, who is our provider. And as it says, who created even the gods, who gave them names, who created this entire world with all its objects and forms and gave names. When you inquire about God, actually you are inquiring about Him. So very often when people wonder, it's in Gita, say that Jikyasu, one who is curious to know about God. What exactly they are curious about? Then what is God? Where does he live? How to know him? The Vedas answer variously. And one of those answers is what we discussed. And then this last mantra that we would like to discuss today, that famous Ekam Sadvipra Bodha Vadanti, very famous mantra, is the heartbeat of Hindu traditions where we consider every religion to be true. We consider every spiritual path to be true. And we consider every form to be true. And this is what differentiates Hindu religion from other religions. Hindu, when we say Hinduism, like Swami Vivekananda also used the expression Hinduism because people did not understand in those days that there cannot be any ism with Hindu Dharma. Hindu Dharma is absolutely different. For example, in case of practically every religion, you just have to add a little, subtract a little, and make it a bit spicy in one form and spicy in a little other form, and you have a religion. But no, Hindu religion is different from other religions. Other religions at the most fundamental level. For example, no Buddhist will say that Hinduism is the true religion, because if he says that Hinduism is a true religion, there was a need for Buddha. They cannot explain it. Same with Christianity, same with Islam, same with Judaism. They have this problem. They have to stay established in exclusiveness. But Hindu religion is not an exclusive religion. It's open for all. It's meant for all because it believes that God is infinite, and sages call it by various names. Why? Depending on the mindset of a particular sage, depending on the mental orientation of a particular sage, he will see that infinite, he will see that God variously. Indram, Mitram, Varunam, Agnim, Ahurato, Divyasa Suparno, Garutman, Ekam Sad, Vipra Bodha Vadanti, Agnim, Yamam, Matarishwana, Ahu. If somebody asks you what's great about Hindu religion, this is the greatness of Hindu religion. Ekam Sadvipra Bodha Badanti. And that's why you find that we Hindus, we consider that God alone came as Rama, God alone came as Krishna. God is Shiva, God is Vishnu, or Vishnu is God, Shiva is God. Now, whenever you find some people who are saying that only Krishna is God, or only Shiva is God, or only Vishnu is God, there is some limitation with their understanding. I'm not saying they're acting silly. No, that's a very strong word to use. The idea is that they're still in the preparatory state of devotion. In the preparatory state of devotion, you must have love for your Ishta. You love your Ishta, you love your chosen spiritual ideal so much that you don't see anything outside it. But once you have grown, once you have become mature, you realize that your Ishta, whom you love, Krishna has become Shiva. Krishna is Vishnu. Krishna is everything. But that is also true for Shiva. Now we know it. We have practiced it. That's in our bone. That's in our marrow. As for other religions, they cannot conceive of it. And that's why when there was this famous World Parliament of Religions in Chicago when Swamiji went, the idea was that let every speaker from different religions talk about his religion and show how his religion is superior to others. And that's where Swamiji gave a death blow to them, saying that Hindu religion doesn't believe in such kind of exclusiveness. We stand for Ekam Sad Vipra Bodha Badanti. And then he went on explaining in that particular speech and in other speeches and in his writings and throughout his 9 volumes that we have in English. There's the same theme running, that there cannot be any kind of exclusiveness in a religion. So they speak of Indra, Mitra, Varuna, Agni. These are the famous gods about whom we mentioned and we will be mentioning. For example, here, Indra is famous for his splendor. Mitra saves one from death. Earlier also, we talked about the qualities of Mitra. He is considered to be one of those friendly gods. And Varuna saves you from sin. And we had mentioned how Varuna was nearly made a monotheistic god, but the idea was discarded. Agni. Agni is the lighted being who is lit in every spiritual home, every religious home, and oblations are poured to Agni. So, in anticipation that whatever is offered to Agni goes to the gods. In return, prosperity comes to the devotee. And there is Garutmat. Garutmat is a winged god. Later on, the concept of this deity was identified with, made identical with Garuda. Garud, who became this divine Vahana, carrier of Lord Vishnu. However, when you read books like Mahabharata, the description of Garuda is such that you realize that he is God by himself. So, again, we have the expression Suparna with beautiful wings. And now, Suparna is used for God, but then somehow you cannot conceive of that idea. And that's why Garutmat or Garuda, it makes things easier for us. It says, the sages, Sadhu Vipra. We find that sages are addressed variously in the Vedas. One of them is Vipra. Vipra technically means one who is learned, one who knows things, one who knows the truth, one who knows reality. Vipra. There mean many other terms, Manishi, Kavi, like that. So Vipra is one of them. And in present times, Vipra generally means Brahmin, but Vipra actually means the learned. Ekam Sad Vipra Bodha Vadanti. So all these names that have been mentioned here, and all those names which have not been mentioned here, which includes gods of other religions, Indram, Mitra, Varunam. So all these gods, any form of God, any name of God that you can think of, ultimately is the face of that infinite God. It says Agnim Yamam Matrishwa Namaho. So in the first line we have names of some gods. In the second also, that whether you call him Agni or Indra, or call him Mitra, or call him Yama. Yama is the god of death, the regulator of time. Whatever name, whatever form, ultimately is the same infinite. Is that one God? So you'll find that in some religions they got rid of other gods and made one god superior over all the other gods. Perfectly fine, nothing wrong with it. The thing is, the Hindus retained all the other gods too and said, all the gods are form of that one God. That means instead of making that one God exclusive, Hindu religion became inclusive and is inclusive in the sense that whatever form that there was, whatever form there is, and whatever form there will be, we know that if that form indicates divinity, if it's divine, is the face of the infinite. It's the same God. Ekam Sad Vipra Bodha Vadanti. So this is the most special feature of Hindu religion. And this comes in Rig Ved 164, 60. That is first book, hymn number 164 and mantra 60. This is beautiful mantra. Ekam Sad Vipra Bodha Vadanti. Once we are finished with these talks, you will see that you won't be able to remember or retain most of the things that we discuss. But if you can remember the Ekam Sad Vipra Bodha Vadanti, you'll feel so happy, you'll feel so blessed, and you will realize how ignorant people of this world are fighting over religion, claiming their religion to be superior over the others. And in India, whenever we find that, I find that Hindus are being attacked for being fanatic or that kind of expression. Somebody even came up with the expression Hindu terror. What wrong? We cannot have Hindu terror. How can we have? No, it's not possible. Because for us, whether it be Christians or Parsis or Buddhists or Jains or Muslims, their God, their gods get same reverence from us. As far as society is concerned, it's a different matter. It's a political thing. It's a social and societal thing. We have nothing to comment on that. We have no comments to offer there. But as far as spiritual traditions are concerned, spiritual truth, spiritual outlook is concerned, for us Hindus, gods of every religion are absolutely true, and every religion is perfect as far as path is concerned. So here we end. Thank you so much. We'll continue with this discussion. How sages saw God in his impersonal form.